HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey everyone, I wanted to leave today's episode completely free of any sort of announcements or updates or anything like that because it's a very special episode to me. So I'm going to share them with you right now. And really the one thing that I want to announce is that a friend of mine, her name is Dara, she's created a really awesome virtual summit called Life by Design, Not by Default. And I'm excited to share it with you because I had the privilege of being a part of it. So this virtual summit, what she's done is she has interviewed tons of amazing people. She's got 45 different speakers that are going to be talking on all sorts of topics over the next 3 days, starting September 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's over 20 hours of content. And I was asked to talk about relationships and to talk about love. And I really think you guys are going to enjoy my segment along with all the other people's. And it's totally free. It's 100% free for you to tune in while it's happening live. So you can tune in starting tomorrow, September 12th, 13th, and 14th, 100% free. And there are tons of other amazing speakers. This whole thing, this virtual summit, is being headlined by Deepak Chopra, Jen Sincero, Adam Grant, Kat Cole, and Ronnie Turioff. And I'm super excited about what Ronnie Turioff has to say because he is a former NBA player and he played with the Lakers, and Lakers are my team. So I'm excited to tune in. But I mean, like Deepak Chopra, come on, this is super cool. And it's totally free. You can tune in. You can find more information at the website, which is lifebydesignsummit.com. Again, that's www.lifebydesignsummit.com, where you can sign up. It starts again tomorrow, September 12th, so go check it out. Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. Welcome to the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I am so honored that you would spend some time with me today on this very, very special episode of the podcast. So today is Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, and that means it is Maya's birthday. Maya turns 2 today, 2 years old. It's pretty incredible to say that. I got a 2-year-old. And to mark the occasion, I wanted to, and I'm going to, share Maya's birth story with all of you. Because, man, so much of who I am today can be linked back to what went down 2 years ago this morning. And right now I've got some some tears in my eyes, and I'm a little choked up because right before pressing play, I watched the videos of Maya's birth, particularly the moment when Sarah pushed her out into the world and birthed her. And I mean, I don't watch those videos very often because they just, I don't really know why, honestly. But every time I do watch them, I just get hit. I just get hit with such strong and immediate emotion. It's incredible. And you may not know, but Maya was born at home. We did a home birth with Maya. So in the house that I'm recording in right now, she was born just down the hallway in our master bedroom. And so the videos we have, it's some of our friends who were there recording the event. They were right up in there. So it's a really fantastic capture of such an amazing moment. So I'm feeling it a little bit right now, but that's perfect because I really wanted to have that sort of energy lingering as I told Maya's birth story. And I don't have any magic or listener love in this because I just wanted to flow right into it. So it's 9:20 a.m. right now, and Maya was born around 10:40, if I'm remembering correctly. So right about now, 2 years ago, Sarah had not yet begun pushing. She pushed for about 45 minutes. So we were in those final stages of, that active labor. And, okay, I'll take it back. I'll take it back to the day before. So September 10th was a Saturday, and we did our normal Saturday routine. We went to our group run in the morning. Sarah didn't run. She hung out in the gym while the rest of us ran. And then while we were there, we saw one of our dear friends who is an OBGYN, and she gave us the recommendation because she knew that we were at the very end of our pregnancy. She gave us a recommendation of having sex, and sometimes that can help get things moving. So after the run, we went home. We had some amazing sex, which is it's a beautiful thing, making love to a woman who's pregnant with that belly and just the body that is carrying life and sustaining life. It's a really amazing thing. So many men out there who felt intimidated by that. I'm just saying it's a beautiful experience. So we did that. And then I don't remember what else we did. But that evening we had a concert to go to. It was the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra playing the music of John Williams. And John Williams is the one who's done movies like Star Wars and so many others. So we went to that concert, and throughout the day, kind of leading up to the concert, Sarah was feeling a tightness in her belly. And looking back now, what we realize is those were some contractions that she was experiencing. So labor had started during the day, but we didn't know. So we're at the concert, and it's very hot. It's a September day in Atlanta. It's pretty warm that night. We had nice seats up near the front. We had a table. We had some accommodations to help us get from the parking lot into the concert. We had a little golf cart come pick us up, which was nice. There's some really, really great things. People will kind of go out of their way to accommodate and make pregnant mamas feel great. And if they don't, they should. There's a lot of amazing things happening in that body, and it deserves to be honored. And so we had folks who were helping us out and just doing what they could to make us feel comfortable. And after the concert wrapped, we left right near the end, before it had finally wrapped, because we wanted to beat traffic. And as soon as we got back into the car, Sarah was like, okay, something's going on. And it's around 10 p.m. at this point on Saturday. And we just started, the contractions were now starting to move from uncomfortable into slightly painful for her, and they were much more noticeable. So we're still not quite sure. I know for me, I'm like, I don't really know if this is it, if things are starting. But we went home, and we got home, and I believe Sarah went right into the bath. went right into the bathtub. And throughout the entire pregnancy, as well as labor and delivery, Sarah felt such a strong sense of peace and comfort in water. So we knew that water was going to play a part in our birth, in Maya's birth. And so we get her into the bathtub, and it's probably like 10:30, moving towards 11. And after a few minutes of being in the tub and seeing, Sarah flow through what are clearly contractions, we knew it was on. We knew that the experience had begun, and Maya was going to be coming out very shortly. So, like I said earlier, we had a planned home birth. So, we started out by visiting an OBGYN when we first got pregnant, and we visited him for the first 3 months. And then we decided that home birth was the route we wanted to go. So once we made that decision, we found an amazing midwife, and her and her midwife partner had this awesome practice near our house. And so, for 6 months leading up until this day, we had been preparing. We had been preparing ourselves emotionally. We had been preparing as a couple. Sarah had been preparing physically. And we had prepared our space. So when we realized that it was go time and things were beginning, the process was beginning, then, I was simultaneously tending to Sarah and getting things ready in our space. So we had a baby pool. Sarah wanted to have water as an element in her birth. And our bathtub is not large. We have a pretty standard tiny bathtub. So we purchased an inflatable baby pool. I mean, it's exactly what you're envisioning. It was blue and it had fish on it, and it was a decent size, but it fit in our master bedroom. So I started kind of gathering things. I started getting the towels, and I started looking after the food, make sure that we had what we needed, and just kind of being aware of what we will need in the coming hours. And for those of you who've never experienced childbirth or have never worked with a midwife, when labor begins, you don't necessarily need to run and do anything, because it can take a little while. It can take a number of hours, particularly for first-time mothers. It can be 12, 24-hour labor. So I knew that even though we were in labor and Sarah was experiencing pressure waves as opposed to contractions, we'll call them pressure waves. That's a more powerful way to call them, to refer to them. And we got that from one of the programs that we did called Hypno Babies. It was really cool. So as Sarah was experiencing these pressure waves, I knew that we had time, and I knew that the next few hours were just going to be Sarah and I. And they were amazing. Those hours from when we returned home from the concert till about 3 a.m. were some of the most intimate, wonderful, connected moments of time that I've ever spent with another human. And the fact that it was with, my wife and my best friend and my funky dance partner for life was just amazing. And it was because it was so quiet, right? It's 11 p.m. The world is quiet and asleep, and our house is quiet. We had low lighting, so we had candles everywhere. We had music playing in the bathroom. It was just peaceful. It was so peaceful, and I would sit there with Sarah and stroke her hand or stroke her hair, and she would ride those pressure waves, and as it would build, she would tap in. She would tap in and go inside and breathe and flow and do all the things that she had been honestly training for. She'd been very intentional about her exercise and her breathing and her mindfulness and doing things all throughout pregnancy. So as we're sitting in that tub and I'm just there supporting her, just there being with her in that energy, I'm watching her go in. I'm watching her tap in, and it's incredible. And I would jump out of the bathroom here and there to go and make her a peanut butter sandwich or bring in some juice or tend to little things. But the vast majority of the time, I was right there with her. HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time, and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And one of the times that I did leave the bathroom, I went to another part of the house and I recorded a message to Sarah on my phone because I was just really moved by how she was showing up, and I was just moved by everything in that moment. So I grabbed my phone, I opened the voice recorder, and I recorded this message. Sarah, I just want to say how completely in awe I am of you. I mean, first of all, the fact that you were the one who said, hey, do you want to record this? And you wanting to capture this experience this way is incredible. But watching you flow through those pressure waves was amazing. And literally as we started talking through them, and as I talked you through them and described them like those roller coaster waves, you know, the way that we had seen people describe, you locked in on it. And then from that moment on, the way that you were experiencing them, from my perspective, was totally transformed. You were present. You weren't afraid of them. You were feeling everything, and you were appreciative of it. I could see it in your eyes. You were like, this is preparing me to deliver our daughter. And I thought I was in awe and in total reverence of you as your divine feminine woman goddess before this whole experience. But we've just gotten started, and you've blown my mind. You've absolutely blown my mind. Just what you are capable of. I truly had no idea until watching you for these past few hours. I really had no idea. And I couldn't have. And we still have a few more hours to go, at least, I imagine. And I think the bar, you're just going to continue to just blast it so high with your power and your beauty and your courage and your love. And I'm humbled that you've chosen me. I'm incredibly inspired to be next to you and with you, and very excited to be leading this family and fanning your flames, and you're amazing. And with that, let me get back to you. So that gives you a glimpse into how I was feeling in that moment and how I was experiencing Sarah. And yeah, wow. I mean, I can put myself right back into it, even 2 years later. So for the next few hours, we were in the bathroom, and I was, like I said, I was giving her food and just flowing with her through those pressure waves, and I was in touch with our midwives the whole time. They were asking me to time the contractions and do all that stuff. So we flowed like that for a number of hours until about 3 a.m. when things started to pick up and the time in between contractions started to get shorter and shorter. And they gave me a target. I don't know if it was like 2 minutes in between or something like that. So that when we hit that target, I let them know, and they said, okay, we'll head on over. And we had a birth team. We had like an all-star lineup of people who were going to come and support us through Maya's birth, which included our midwife. Her name is Debbie. It included 2 assistants, Constance and Lacey. Oh, excuse me, Wendy and Lacey. And then it also included a group of family and friends. So my mother, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our friends who were there to serve various roles. Some were there to take pictures. Some were there to tend to the animals and to make food. Some were there as a support for me because I was very locked in and tuned in with Sarah. So when I needed to take a break or step away, they would be there to support me or to fill in. And then someone was there to specifically tend to Sarah. So, we were very intentional with our birth. We were very intentional with everything. And so we invited these folks to come be a part of it for very specific reasons. So when I contacted Debbie and she said that she was going to be on her way, I let some of the birth team know that they should be standing by their phones because in a few hours they're probably going to get a message from me that it's time for them to come over. So we have been in the tub for most of this time, and I want to say that I was filling up the birth tub as well. So at some point we transitioned from the bathroom into the bedroom, and moved in from the bathtub into the baby pool that was filled with the warm water. And it was really in our bedroom that we had most of the scene and the ambiance set. We had some white, like Christmas type lights that were strung around the room, and a group of Sarah's girlfriends were there, had come earlier to decorate the space and to just make it feel feminine and powerful and empowering and loving. And so we had some decorations, some little things kind of hanging from the ceiling. And that's where Sarah continued to flow in the birth pool. And then when the midwives arrived, it was probably around 4-ish, maybe 5-ish. And it was great. It was a great feeling to know that they were there because things were definitely building. But at the same time, it meant that intimate space, that intimate time with Sarah was complete, because as soon as the midwives came, there was just another energy in the room. But it was awesome. And one of the things that really blew my mind, we had been working with them for over 6 months, going to the visits. And by the way, like midwife visits are freaking amazing. Hour long, typically an hour long. And you're there with, many times the midwife and then some of their assistant midwives or apprentices. And you just get so much undivided attention that I just didn't experience when we were in the hospital and with the OB. And my family, a lot of people in my family are in the medical world, so I have a glimpse into some of the behind the scenes of that, and I understand why doctors and OBs and different folks who work out of hospitals just can't spend an hour with people, with their patients. But that experience that we had with the midwives, we truly valued that they were there for us for as long as we needed. So one of the things that was really interesting is when they arrived, each of them had a duffel bag. And I was like, what is all this stuff? And what it was all of their gear. All of the gear that they bring to the birth. Some of it they know they're going to use. They'll have different pads, and they're going to have gloves, and they're going to have the different things that they'll need for the baby once baby comes out. But then there's so much equipment that is there in case a litany of things happen. They have all this different equipment that they can use, oxygen tanks, and they had different drugs that they could administer and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, wow, I never realized that. And it was funny because I had this stereotype of midwives before we even met them. Right when we first started having the conversation about using a midwife and doing a home birth, I just had this viewpoint of somebody who, like very hippie-ish, and I think you get what I'm saying, like that stereotypical like nature-loving person who probably doesn't wear shoes and definitely doesn't wear deodorant, who eats tree bark and all sorts of ridiculous stuff like that was in my mind when I was thinking about home birth and midwives. And so when they show up with all this gear and they're like ready to go and they're so equipped and prepared, it was amazing. And, we had created backup plans for everything, so plan A was to have Maya at home. If anything went wrong, not even wrong, because what the midwives do is like they're so trained to be able to detect if something is going slightly off path, right? If something's going slightly off plan, then they see it beforehand, well before it becomes anything that would even resemble an emergency. And so plan A was home. Plan B, we had a doctor. The midwives are affiliated with a doctor down in Atlanta. So we had a hospital that we would go to if we needed. And then plan C, there's a hospital like 5 minutes from our house that if there was a true emergency, we could always go to. So, we had all these backup plans, and I knew how prepared everybody was, but I still was surprised to see all the equipment that they brought. So the midwives show up, and they come with their duffel bags, and they set up in the room, and we don't have a large master bedroom. So at this point, there's 5 people, Sarah, myself, the 3 midwives, a fully inflated baby pool, and 3 duffel bags worth of stuff, and that pretty much filled up the entire room. So, the role of the midwife is to not do much. They're there as that support. They're there to monitor things, but they're there to be hands off. When everything's flowing as it should, when everything is just going like clockwork, midwives don't really do anything in terms of interventions, in terms of coaching, they just let mama do it, because mamas they've got everything they need. They've got everything that they need within them to bring this child earthside. And they always have, and they always will. And so the midwives know this. They're so connected. They know this. They understand this. And so they know that when everything is going as it should, when everything's going smoothly, they don't need to do anything. Simply be there. So that's what they did. They were simply there. And Sarah would flow with her pressure waves, and I would be there in the pool. And now that I had an extra set of hands, we could do things like apply pressure to Sarah's hips, apply counter pressure, and all these different things and techniques to help Sarah flow with the sensations of those pressure waves and the sensations of Maya, shifting and descending and preparing to be born. So it was great to have them there for that. And there was a part of me that definitely was grateful to have the professional midwives there. Sort of like, okay, they're here. I felt better. I felt more comfortable and confident knowing that they were here as well. So that flowed for a little while, and the whole time, Sarah's just continuing to tap in to her power, and I can just see her riding those pressure waves. They build, they build, they build, they peak, they crest, and then it starts to come down. And she was just breathing so beautifully, and so present, and it was just so incredible to watch. So that continues for a little while, and then at some point I sent out a text to the lead person who was in charge of like the communication tree with all the friends, and I said, "Hey, you guys might want to come over." And so the word went out, and one by one over the course of the next hour, maybe people started to file in. And like I said, we had a healthy birth team along with our midwives. So over the course of the next hour, what time is it now? It's probably like 6 o'clock. The sun's starting to come up, which is really cool. It's like the world is waking up as this experience is building and building. People started to arrive. I think my mom was the first one to arrive. And that was great for me to have her there. So that continues, and the rest of the birth team arrives, and people are getting into their roles. The person who we had taking footage and filming got her phone out and started taking pictures and started filming. And we have so many pictures and videos from that day. I have a Google Photos folder, and it's just filled. And that's pretty cool. We really documented that experience. Even though next time we're going to hire a professional photographer, because after doing the Doing It at Home podcast for so long, we've gotten to see, and we've seen so many beautiful professional photos of home births and births in general. And we've had the honor of talking with a lot of birth photographers. So we know that we want to have a birth photographer at our next birth. So now it's probably 7, 8 o'clock, and Sarah's just flowing. She's doing her thing. And only at one point throughout this entire experience did Sarah tell me that it hurt. Did she express that the sensations that she was feeling was pain. And that was when, at one point, the midwives are every hour or so, they're saying, "Hey, Sarah, you may want to go use the restroom." And so we would help Sarah out of the birth tub. A couple people and I would, grasp her under the arms and help her stand up and walk her out into the bathroom. And she was using the bathroom at one point, and I was kneeling in front of her, and she just looked at me, and she had this expression on her face of just exhaustion. She was very tired, and she's like, "It hurts," and that was it in terms of expressing that sentiment that it hurts. And I put my hands on her, and I just kind of nodded. I'm just like, "You got it, you got this." And so it's 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and just to set context, we hadn't slept. Sarah hadn't slept. When we got home from the concert, we tried to sleep through pressure waves, but they were at a decent amount of intensity that Sarah was not able to sleep. So she is exhausted. It's 7 a.m. She's been up all night. The last meal that she had was probably at 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. the previous night. So it's been 12 hours since she's had substantial amount of food. And all throughout the labor, she had been drinking, coconut water and waters, and but wasn't really interested in eating a whole lot, which, that happens. Mamas just don't want to, a lot of times just don't want to eat during that active labor. So Sarah was exhausted, and that came into my mind a couple of times. Like, the longer this goes, that she hasn't really eaten a whole lot, and she hasn't slept. But I knew that Sarah has this other place that she can go to. I've seen her go to this next level place where you don't think that she's got anything left in the tank, but then more, and then more, and then more. So I had witnessed that before, and I knew that was there for her. So when she was expressing that she was tired, and when she expressed that she was in pain, I felt my role was simply there to support and to love And I wanted her that anytime she looked into my eyes, she saw the supreme amount of confidence and love that I had for her. And that would, she felt that energy. I didn't have to say much. She felt it. So after that toilet experience, went back into the birth pool, and that's where she spent the majority of her labor, save for one trip down the hall. The midwives recommended that she try to walk, which didn't really work out well. She ended up vomiting, getting sick from that. And that was the only time she vomited as well. So after the brief thing, we're back in the birth pool, and she's just continuing to flow. And, now we have so many people in the room that there's definitely a buzz, like an excited energy, because we know that it's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And around so it's 9:51 right now. I'm looking at my clock. It's 9:51. 2 years ago, in about 10 minutes, is when we moved Sarah from the birth pool onto a birthing stool. And that's where Debbie, our midwife, said, Sarah, I think, would you like to push? Would you like to try to push? And Sarah was like, okay, yeah. So we moved her onto the birth stool at around 10 o'clock. And the birth stool, imagine a chair that has no back and the bottom is cut out. So it's like you can sit on it and it holds your weight, but there's no back support to it, and it kind of has these handles so mama can grab them and really bear down. And so that's what Sarah sat on, and that's where Sarah pushed. So she's seated on the birth pool. I'm seated behind her on a yoga ball, and our main midwife, Debbie, is crouching in front of Sarah, and Sarah's legs are open. And Debbie begins coaching Sarah on how to push. And I didn't really understand at all that pushing sensation, although the body will naturally go into it, you kind of have to, for women, for mamas, like, it's not you have to connect to the muscles that I'm like contracting my abs and squeezing my butt right now, because that's just kind of how I imagine. Like, you have to connect with those muscles that actually push baby out. And what Sarah said afterwards was that working on connecting that, it felt like she was going to poop. Right? Like, because that's what you're used to. You're used to like squeezing your sphincter muscles. And so, there was a couple of pushes in the very beginning where Sarah was like trying to figure it out. But when she locked in, when she got it, it was on. Oh, it was so on. And what was really amazing is that the labor process is truly about surrender. Like, when you're riding those pressure waves, when Sarah's riding those pressure waves, she's surrendering. And the greater that extent that she can surrender, the more she can flow with those pressure waves. But pushing is about tapping into that divine feminine power. The pushing is about the roaring. And Sarah really loved that part because she felt that she could take an active role. Whereas with the contractions, you just wait for them to come. And they come and, they swell, and she would ride them, and then they would go down, and she'd be like, whew, okay, let me collect myself for the next one. But when she was on that birth stool and she was pushing, she was being active. And Sarah can roar. I don't necessarily mean literally, but like figuratively, she can just tap in. She has this amazing, like, I just call it a feminine, divine goddess power. And that was a transformative experience for her. Obviously, the entire birthing experience was, but that pushing and that really going deep. So Sarah is now, she's on the birth stool and I'm behind her, and I have my arms on her shoulders kind of pulling them back, because as she's bearing down on this birth stool and as she's roaring, there is an insane amount of strength that she's tapping into. She's like hulking out on this thing, and it's taking so much of my muscle and so much energy for me to be a counterbalance to her as she's bearing down and moving forward. I have my arms around her and I'm pulling back, and I'm using all my strength to just be that strong, like, iron block for her to bear against. I wanted her to feel like she could really push as I'm holding back behind her and I'm just holding onto her arms. And as I was watching the videos before pressing record, we had a lot of videos of that. And it's really cool just to see my arms around her and her just like getting it. So she does this for about 45 minutes on that birth stool. And I don't know how many pushes, I could go back and count, but every single time she pushed, she became stronger. Every single time she pushed, she became more connected. Every single time she pushed, she roared. She just became more of that badass that she is. And it was such an amazing experience of her. And I was so close by being right behind her and I'm bracing and I'm feeling the strength of that energy, of that roar. And it completely humbled me. So we do that for 45 minutes and Debbie at one point has her fingers in Sarah's vagina and she can feel baby Maya's head. She can feel it. And she's like, Maya, Sarah, you're doing it. That's great. You're doing it. And when Sarah connected to the type of pushing that moves baby through the birth canal, she really connected to it. And so she's moving her through. And I see, I see it in the video later, but at the time I couldn't see anything. All I'm doing is I'm going off of Debbie's cues and she's saying, Sarah, we're a couple of pushes away. And so Sarah bears down and she pushes and the head starts to come out. And when the head comes out, behind Debbie, remember it's me and then Sarah and then Debbie. But behind Debbie are several of the birth team. There's a couple people behind me and there's a few more, including my mom and the assistant midwives who I can see clearly, and they're looking at Sarah. And as soon as the head starts to come out, I see it in their face. I see it in their smiles and they go, oh, and they start to get really excited. And I know that we're so close. We're so close to meeting our baby girl. And so Sarah just locks in and she pushes and her head comes out. And when Maya's head came out, people in the room it was incredible. And after one more push, Maya's head came out, and I think my mom said, Sarah, you're doing it. She's almost there. You're doing it. And then another big push, and her body comes out, and there's just like this collective cry of the room, of the people who are witnessing this experience, who are just beyond words. There's beyond words. And tears are coming, and there's gasps, and there's small cheers. And then Debbie takes Maya and puts her right on Sarah's chest, and I'm standing behind Sarah. My arms are around both of them, and I see baby Maya's face. I see her face for the first time, and it was incredible. It was incredible. She didn't cry. She didn't have any cries immediately, and I always thought that that's what kids are supposed to do. They're supposed to come out and they're supposed to wail, and the doctor, because I'm used to seeing this in a hospital, they might smack them on the butt or do whatever they do, but Maya she was just there, right? And people in the room are shouting and all this and that, and I really didn't know all of the things people were saying until I went back and watched the videos later. But when I saw her face, it was just the three of us. It was just myself, Sarah, and Maya. Those were the only people there.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
And quickly after she comes out, Debbie notices some bleeding. And so she says, okay, we need to move Sarah to the bed right now. And she said it in a way that there wasn't alarm or panic in her voice, but it was clear that we needed to get Sarah to the bed. So we've got a birth stool in front of us and towels and different things and people. So people need to kind of scatter and move and make some way. And Sarah's holding Maya, and they move her over to the bed and they lay her down. And when Sarah takes a step forward, I see blood hit the floor. And I said, oh, wow, okay. And there was a part of me that was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. Something's wrong. So I started to clear people out. I said, hey, my mom was right there trying to take pictures as Sarah had just laid on the bed with Maya. And I said, hey, Mom, let me squeeze in there. And Debbie and the other midwives are sort of ushering people out of the room because something is going on and Sarah's bleeding. So I just got into dad, protector, husband mode. And Sarah's laying on the bed. Maya's on her chest. I wasn't actually laying on Sarah's stomach, but I put myself in between Sarah, Maya, and the midwives who were working on Sarah, because if there was something going on, I didn't necessarily want Sarah to be focused on that. I wanted her to just be present with her daughter. And she asked me one time, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, everything's fine. I had so much trust in Debbie and in Wendy and Lacey that, they knew what to do. They knew how to handle everything. And so I put the sight of the blood hitting the floor out of my mind because, there's that part of me. Like, one of my biggest pushbacks to home birth when it was first put on the table was, what if something goes wrong? What if there's an emergency? And seeing the blood brought that right back up, like, oh my gosh, okay, something is wrong. So, but I knew that me having that sort of energy, me being in that fearful place, was not going to serve this experience, wasn't going to help anybody. So I went into that place of just supreme love, and I just loved on Sarah and I loved on Maya. And by this point, Maya had made a little whimper. She made her first little whimper, and that was a beautiful thing because, I'm expecting babies to cry a lot when they first come out, and it was always my understanding that a baby crying, it just means that it's healthy and everything's fine. So the fact that Maya was silent, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe there's something going on with Maya as well. So she made her first little whimper, and that just really brought me down and brought me into a place of calm and really peace. And we just looked at our baby girl. And I just said, you did it. Sarah, you did it. And Sarah didn't have a lot of words. She was in this drunken state of love and just hormones that are coursing through her body. And, because when after baby comes out, the female's body just sends all these chemicals and does everything. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so amazing. And so all of that was happening with Sarah, and she was just in this place of peace. And we were just there, the three of us. It felt like just the three of us. And, we were getting to experience our baby girl for the first time. And she hadn't opened her eyes yet. And so after a couple of minutes of that, Debbie let us know what was going on. And what had happened was a combination of things. Sarah had a tear. She tore when as she was pushing and as Maya came out. And then at the same time, because of the color of the blood, the midwives knew that what had happened was it probably part of the placenta from the inside had detached a little bit, and that's where the bleeding was coming from. And so they gave Sarah a shot of, I believe it's Pitocin, to stop the bleeding. And they kind of cleaned everything up, and she was okay. She was perfectly fine. So after that little episode was taken care of, it was just bliss. And I remember standing, I was kind of crouching by the bed, and I was looking at Maya, and Sarah, I think, was engaged in either drinking some water or maybe just had taken a deep breath or closed her eyes. But I was watching Maya, and her eyes opened, and I got to see her eyes for the first time. And she had these blue-gray eyes, and I was like, Sarah, our baby has blue eyes. And it was so crazy. It was so wild because never in my life would I thought that I'd have a blue-eyed baby. And if you all have seen pictures of Maya, she's got this blondish hair and blue eyes. And if you've seen a picture of me, that's not how I look. So I'm like, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. And it was shortly after that moment and when, everything is okay, and I realized everyone is healthy, and it's like, wow, we did it. I was able to let my protector guard down and just be so vulnerable. And I bawled. And what I did is I felt such an amount of gratitude for every single person in that room, because each one of them was a part of this experience, and each one of them helped to bring Maya earthside. And Maya's right there now. You can probably hear her in the background. But I felt such gratitude for all these people, so I went and I gave each one of them a hug from the bottom of my heart, and I just sobbed on each one of their shoulders. And I said, thank you. And I went around the room, and I hugged every person, and I just cried on them and said thank you. I was so, so grateful to them. They were a part of the experience. They were a part of all of it. And then after that, I mean, it was just the baby high. I mean, the midwives did a few things. They measured her and weighed her and did all that stuff. And I got to put on her diaper for the first time. And we left the umbilical cord attached to the placenta. We left that attached for a while. We wanted Maya to get all the nutrients that she needed from the placenta. And so we left that on for well over an hour. And then finally, when it was all the nutrients had been gotten, I was able to cut the cord, and that was really cool. I didn't know what a cord was gonna feel like when you cut it, but we cut the cord. And Maya and Sarah had birthed the placenta at this time, so that was a really amazing sight, by the way, to see a baby, fresh baby, umbilical cord, and the umbilical cord is attached to a placenta, and the placenta was in a bowl. I was like, this is mind-blowing. Like, this is nature. Like, this is just, oh my gosh. And so, like, you just don't, I don't know, I didn't experience any of that stuff. I never saw any of that stuff in depictions of birth. Depictions of birth are so inaccurate. Oh my gosh, they're so inaccurate. And they're so dramatized and chaotic and traumatic so often. So I really appreciated that home birth experience because it was so different. And before our birth experience, I had watched with Sarah, a dozen or so videos of home birth. So I kind of had an idea of what to expect. But seeing Maya with the umbilical cord attached to the placenta, that was just like a really cool moment for me. So I cut the cord, and they got that all tied up and everything. And Maya had the vernix on her. And that's like this. It's like this substance that coats them when they're in the womb. It's like this yellowish substance, and so when they come out, they have the vernix on them, and you just rub it into their skin, and it's just it just kind of protects them and moisturizes them. So she had a little bit of that on her, and I remember Lacey. She was one of the midwives. She says, "Hey, do you guys want to see the placenta?" And she takes the placenta out of the bowl and kind of lays it out on a towel or on like some like medical sheets on the bed. And this organ is incredible. Oh my gosh, the placenta is so freaking cool, and it's kind of crazy looking, to be honest. It's big, it's like a big sack, and I'm gonna get graphic, but there's like these veins all over it, and it's this deep red, almost brownish color, and she says, I'll show you the tree, and she kind of like takes the umbilical cord and pulls it in a certain way and opens up the placenta, and it looks exactly like a tree that all of us have drawn when we were kids. It had this trunk, and it had these branches, and it had this canopy of leaves. It was so cool. And it's moments like that when you're like, man, all of this stuff is so perfectly created. All of this is just so divinely inspired and created, and it's perfection. It truly is perfection. So, oh my gosh, that's Maya's birth. I feel so cool sharing this story with you all on her birthday. And it's 10:10 right now. So right now, 2 years ago, Sarah was pushing. And I was going to meet my baby girl shortly. And it's weird. I'm looking outside and I'm like, yeah, this is like the same type of, sunlight, same type of weather, and same type of stillness. It's still pretty calm here in our neighborhood. I'm wondering what the neighbors heard or what they were thinking, because, Sarah's in our master bedroom, and the windows were open. We only have one window. So the window was open because it had the hose leading from the birth pool out into the yard, so that when we needed to empty the birth pool, we could do that. So the window was open, so that meant for all of Sarah's roars, those primal, natural, powerful, feminine roars, as she was bringing Maya earthside, they went out into the neighborhood. So I'm so curious what somebody stepping out the front door of their house and walking to their car, going to their mailbox, or doing whatever, what they heard and what they thought. So I might have to chat with my neighbors and see, hey, 2 years ago, do you remember hearing something interesting coming from our house? But yeah, I think that's it. I think I got nothing else for you all. Just the experience changed me. It changed me. Oh my gosh, I got to see how powerful women are, how amazing women are, how strong women are. My gosh, as a man, I had such an ego, believing that strength is how many weights I can push. that strength is this toughness that I can stand up to people and whatever. Nah, hell no. Strength is doing what I experienced Sarah do. Strength is doing what I've talked to so many moms and just women in general who know they're about to face something just incredible, and the only thing that can get them through it is themselves. Nobody else in that room could have done it for Sarah. Only she was going to do this. And strength is knowing that, and knowing that you're going to step into the most challenging experience of your entire life that's going to test you in every way possible. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, it's going to test you, and still doing it. Still choosing to do it. And then experiencing it once and choosing to do it again. Oh my gosh. Y'all are crazy. But I know the body just works that way. The body, you have this ability to remember all the beautiful things, and the things that weren't so great, you may not remember so vividly. And it's so that you'll do it again. And so just humbled by the power of women. And just really honored that, I was able to spend those moments with Sarah when it was just her and I, and just to be so connected with another person. And to be so present. Oh my gosh. When you're experiencing birth, you're so present. Like, it's amazing. And of course, me becoming a father, right? Like today is a birthday for a number of people. For Maya coming earthside, taking her first breaths. For Sarah becoming a mom and experiencing herself with that power. And for me, becoming a father and assuming my new role, because Sarah was connected with Maya during the pregnancy. They were talking together. They could communicate. They could sense one another. But, for me, it was always through the barrier of Sarah's stomach. But as soon as Maya came out, that connection between Maya and I became very real. and all the love that was stored within me, I knew where to put it, and it poured out onto this baby girl. And I'm so honored and happy that I had a baby girl. So much, because I was afraid of that. I was fearful of being a father to a girl because of all of the things that we pick up culturally and in society about what it's like to raise women and raise girls. And I can't tell you how many times people would say things like, oh, you better get your gun ready. What are you going to do when she becomes a teenager? And even this past weekend, I was at a pool party. It was just Maya and I. Sarah was doing something else, so I brought Maya. And I'm talking with two parents of a boy. And the father said, man, I'm so happy that I had a boy because I think it's a lot harder having a girl. And I said, you're right. Because having a girl, as a man, you have a huge opportunity to step up and to show her what a true man looks like and what love from a true man feels like. And I'm so honored that I get a chance to be that man in her life, and that's what I told him. I am so honored that she is going to learn from a powerful, strong, loving, grounded, connected man. So you're right. There's a reason why you had a boy and I had a girl. And I would never change that. I would never change that. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. I love it. And so I got a chance to become that person when Maya was born. And every day I get a chance again to be that person, to be that powerful man, to be that just to be me, to show up. And I'm so excited to see what she does with her life, knowing that she's got just grounded, confident, loving, masculine energy who's got her back, who supports her no matter what, who loves her no matter what. She never has to go and figure out where she's going to get love from. She never has to go and figure out what men are going to be there for her. Because I am consistent. I show up. So she never has to question that. And I can't wait to see what this amazing human accomplishes in her life and does, and who she becomes. Because she doesn't have to worry about the things that unfortunately so many people do. She doesn't get caught up in so many of the things that people do get caught up in. So, all right. I'm going to go and spend the rest of the day with my family, with Sarah, with Maya, celebrating this little monkey kid. I call her little monkey, or I call her Maya Bear. Celebrating 2 years of life with her. So thank you all for coming on this journey, this story retelling with me. It's been a lot of fun for me. I didn't really know where this was going to go. Didn't really anticipate emotions coming up. Man, it's a touching experience. So thank you for being there with us in the retelling. Yeah. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. My name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own, so please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal physical or mental health.
Breast milk science. It's a thing, and it's our thing. We're ByHeart. We're an infant formula company on a mission to get a lot closer to the most super food on the planet, breast milk. Our patented protein blend has more of the important and most abundant proteins found in breast milk. We're the first and only U.S.-made formula to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, not skim. We make our formula in our own factories in Iowa, Oregon, and Pennsylvania, using a small batch manufacturing process that works to preserve the integrity of our ingredients. We ran the largest clinical trial by a new infant formula company in 25 years, and clinically proved benefits like easier digestion, less gas, and softer poops versus a leading infant formula. We were the first infant formula company to earn the Clean Label Project Purity Award. And while we've put a lot into ByHeart, there's a long list of things you won't see on our ingredient list, like no corn syrup, no maltodextrin, no GMO ingredients, no soy, no palm oil. ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.